Welcome to the Nick and Matt Show. Bringing the player interviews you want to hear and the hot topics you want to discuss. Streaming live on the Foundation Podcast YouTube channel, here's Nick and Matt.
This is kind of the tough part as an interviewer and having to ask kind of like the more personal and questions that no one wants to ask, but everyone wants to hear the answer to, obviously. So you're one of the best competitors in the sport, and you've had a week to kind of reflect on how everything happened. Can you walk us through hole 18, just from the tee shot to the final putt out? Can you walk us through your mindset of what was going on in that moment?
So coming off hole 17, I had a really bad drive, but I was able to clean up my up shot and get myself in position to save par. And then again, a bad up shot, so I ended up carding the bogey on that. And, I was pretty sad, but I knew that I still had one stroke of an advantage going into 18. I also knew that this meant Katrina would have the box and she would tee first. So I could kind of get to see what she was going to do on the hole. So seeing her drive first, go left, I knew that was a sweet spot. I played the Utah Open with her, and I had played the other two rounds at the Fort with her. So I knew that's exactly where she wanted to be, and that she was successful in going for the green from there. So I knew that was more than likely going to be her approach on this final round as well. But I knew that if I put myself a little bit farther and a little bit more right, then she would have to throw before me. And that is something that I felt was very necessary. I absolutely had to make sure that I was farther than her down the fairway. In doing so, then I could see if she went OB or not and decide if I needed to play safe, or if she did park it, maybe I needed to go for it. So anyway, getting up there, I got my undertaker exactly where I wanted it. I was about 80 feet closer to the basket than she was. And anyway, I got to see her line up her shot. I walked over to the left so I could see exactly not just what the spotter would wave, if it would be green or red, but exactly where her disc would land, so that I would know what type of putt she had. Did she have a 10-footer, a 40-footer, a 60-footer? And she threw that F7. I knew as soon as she grabbed it, I knew she was going for the green. And she got it to hold over, and it started, 8 to 20% was fairly safe. So, I'm glad that I saw that it was a tester putt, because that kind of made my decision for me. I know that Katrina is very capable of making 30-footers, but to do so with 1,400 people standing there, to do so to force a playoff, I knew that was going to be a lot more difficult and a lot more pressure. So I told myself, it's okay if you go into a playoff, but don't want to lose this right now. And I told myself, if I did go, Bueno could have lost it right in there. Play and got up there. Even if she did make it, we would still go into a playoff. And that's what I felt I was the most comfortable with in that moment. I guess it's get ahead of myself. But yeah, so I wanted, and from there was a dead straight fear shot, about 200. But again, that crowd of 1,400 people, the most cameras we've ever had on us, probably my most pressure-filled shot that I've ever thrown in my entire life. I failed. I early released it. I was scared of going OB deep. I was scared of grip blocking it. And so instead of thinking about the actual basket and where I wanted it to land, I was thinking about what could go wrong. And unfortunately, I let it go early. But I feel proud of myself that even in that moment, I not succumb to that pressure and that that heartbreak yet. I knew that I still had a chance if I would make my putt from about, the spotter gave me a mark about 50 feet short of the basket, maybe 60 feet. And I knew that if I would make that putt, I would put the pressure on her, and I would make her have to make her 30-footer to force a playoff. So I remember walking up to that putt, even though I was sad, I saw the red flag. I remember telling myself, no matter what, you can't feel anything. Do not feel any emotion until you've committed to this putt and thrown this putt, because it's not over yet. And as soon as that putt left my hand, I knew I missed a little high right. In that moment, I remember thinking, like, actually not many thoughts, just a complete loss of my breath, and just, it was over. And I remember I fell to the ground, and I remember just telling myself, like, you gave it a chance, you can be proud of that. You didn't leave it low. You gave it everything you had. You missed it high, But yeah, I think the thing I'm most sad about that last hole is that I didn't make her make the putt. If for your competitor to be able to lay up for a win, it's a really heartbreaking feeling. And, I'm sure I know that feeling from her side of things, like how relieved she must have been to be like, oh, I don't have to make this. Like, I just won it. So, I can feel the emotion both ways, and I could see all the emotion in the crowd. So, in hindsight, it's something where I've kind of come to terms with it now. There's nothing I can do at this point but to continue putting myself in those high pressure situations and continue to test my abilities under pressure. But I think even to this moment, I think I did make the right decision in laying up. But I have gone to bed a few nights since then wondering if I should have gone for the green. But I think I know that in my heart, deep down, I did make the correct decision. I just wasn't able